Hey everybody, RetroPie guy here. Today I'm going to take you guys on a full tour of the ArtFlix theme on Batocera. This is by far my absolute favorite Batocera theme currently. It's got a ton of moving parts. Every collection differs, so you're not dealing with the same graphics and pictures throughout each collection. So Sega is going to differ, or Sega Dreamcast, for example, is going to differ from Sega Master System or Genesis. Nintendo GameCube is going to differ from N64, and so on. So a lot of themes for Batocera use a lot of the same background images and graphics throughout. This one is a massive theme that just differs so much, and that's why I love it. And there's such attention to details with this. So I'm going to jump into it. I'm going to take a tour of my particular 4TB build for Batocera using this particular theme, so you can see how each of these collections is laid out and what it has to offer. So let's dive into it. Alright, so here we are booted up into Batocera using the ArtFlix theme throughout my entire build here. So I want to just show off the theme just so you guys can see exactly what this theme has to offer, because it's one of my personal favorites, mainly because it not only has the best graphics for each collection, but it also has pictures and graphics and all that good stuff inside the actual collections. So each collection is going to differ significantly. So here we just jumped into our MAME collection. So you can see here, once we're in the MAME collection, we have this layout here with an arcade cabinet. The screen has the video previews for each of the titles here. I'll jump through a couple titles. Usually this will have sound. I have the sound muted here just for this video, so I'm not having to compete with the audio here on screen. But you can see everything populates in here really nicely. So now if I were to back out and I were to jump into my next collection, next one down is Atari 2600, you're going to see that the theme is very different within this collection than it was previously. So each collection is going to be different. A lot of themes for Batocera have the same graphics throughout, so they're dumbed down quite a bit and really a lot simpler than this. I like how in-depth this is and how everything differs so much. So you can go through here. I love the background. All of it is super crisp. The graphics are just not pixelated or anything like that. It's just perfect in every way. We also, of course, have everything scraped on here. So we have logos on the right-hand side, video preview inside the screen. We have box art, titles. We also have the maker of the game down there. We also have ratings in the bottom right corner. And then, of course, our description of the game that we're into. That kind of just scrolls down there in a loop. So everything nicely laid out here. Again, this will typically have either background music you can have on your system, or you can have background music with also the audio for the game preview that we have. I just, again, have everything muted here, so I'm not having to talk over all of that. So you can see throughout each of these collections, we're going to have all of that populating in. So I'm going to back out again, and we'll go down to Atari 5200. So these are very similar, but when we jump in here, again, the theme is different for each of these collections, even though they are so similar. So same idea here. With these really basic sort of games or early games like this, you're not going to see too much in the graphics there, although that's actually pretty advanced for this particular collection. But really cool look to it. Again, everything's just super crisp. Let's take a look at Berserk. It's probably my favorite game for this particular Atari. So we'll back out again, and we'll jump into 7800 real quick. Again, very similar here, but you know, slight differences. Same idea though. So I'll back out again, and let's jump down to MSX1 and 2. In here, this is MSX1. I'll kind of go through these a little bit quicker so we don't eat up too much time. So similar again, but they aren't exactly the same. So it is cool to see that they are unique in their own way. So we'll go into Xbox here. So Xbox is one of those collections with emulation where you're not going to get everything scraped, and you're not going to have every title working flawlessly. So I have a few in here that are fully scraped and look really nice. We have a different background here. We also have Master Chief on that left-hand side. He stays in there pretty consistently, but still offers the same stuff. We have our description, our ratings, our box art, and our video preview up there. So really enjoy this theme for that reason, and especially in a collection like this for Xbox, where you're going to have some stuff which you can see right here. This one doesn't have anything available, you know, even if you try to scrape it, it's just not available yet. Oftentimes with collections like this, it will change though, so definitely check back. But the majority of these you can see on the right hand side as I scroll down through my collection. Most of the data is scrapable there, so looks really nice. All right, so back out, TurboGrafx 16. We'll jump into TurboGrafx CD. Really cool in here. Super Graphics. Game & Watch. Really like the way that looks. And then, of course, obviously, all of these have different graphics here as well. So we'll continue on. Nintendo Entertainment System. This one here, this graphic, I think is awesome. One of my personal favorites. Jump in here. I like the fact that we have that Nintendo Entertainment System console up there behind the actual Arcadia screen. So I will back out yet again. Here we have Family Computer Disk System. We'll jump into Game Boy. So this is the original Game Boy, so everything's going to be that black and gray sort of color. Really like the way they zoomed in on the actual Game Boy console though, so we can see that screen super clear like that. Back out, we'll jump into Super Nintendo. You have the Super Nintendo controller there. Obviously the console in the background as well. Box art, all that good stuff. N64, probably the most popular collection. Let's go up here, I'll check out some wrestling games. Let's do No Mercy. Nobody cares about Warzone. Really good stuff here. So we'll jump into Game Boy Color here. We have some Pokemon stuff going on. Love the Game Boy Color one. Super crisp again. And we'll jump into Nintendo GameCube. Another amazing collection here. Love, again, the fact that we have the console in the background behind the screen there. We also have the GameCube controller. Box art, all that good stuff. Everything populates in beautifully for the GameCube collection, and everything is fully scrapable on here too. I don't think there's any titles that I have, at least on my build here, where there's you know, any title that's not fully scraped. So we will back out again, and we'll jump into Game Boy Advance. Another really cool graphic there on the main page for the collection. Jumping in, we have that blown up version of the Game Boy Advance console. One of my favorite games right there for Game Boy Advance was that Sonic Advance with Sonic Pinball Party. Nintendo DS here. I was never a big DS gamer, but definitely a lot of cool stuff here. I like that they split the screen so you can see a little bit of each there too, which is kind of cool. Here we have Nintendo Wii, probably the most popular collection that I'm diving into personally. Love the fact that emulation on here is super smooth. You can incorporate all of the accessories and controllers for Nintendo Wii when you use it with Batocera. So there is some stuff that's not fully scrapable. You can see that the logo populates in for this particular title, but we don't get the logo on the scrolling list on the right hand side. But the majority of these are present in here. So you can see as I scroll down, Army Rescue isn't, and stuff that's not scrapable usually does change over time, but you can see the theme on here, really cool. So we will back out again, and here is Open Beats of Rage, or Open Bore for short. A bunch of customizable or customized games rather. So that is one of my favorites. Batman, Gotham Knight. And some of these you're not going to be able to scrape because again they are custom games. but the Bruce Lee game's pretty cool. And you can see something like this where it's all customized games. It's really cool to have that populate in like this with a theme. A lot of themes don't have, you know, a lot of content for some of those more custom collections. So here I have ports. Here is Pie Game. Not much there, but there is at least the graphic for, you know, the main collection. I'll actually jump into ports. I don't know if I've ever gone into ports. Oh yeah, so some of this will be scrapable like Doom, but some of the other stuff, you know, it's not scrapable because they're ports, not games. So we'll back out here. Still laid out really nicely within. Atomic Wave, clearly a different background here. Again, some stuff's going to be scrapable, some stuff isn't. Just depends. But still, really nice theme, the way everything's laid out here. We'll jump into Sega Master System. We're going to go through most of the Sega stuff here too, so you'll see how they all compare. We'll go into Genesis here. Again, the screen is very similar, but the background changes, which is cool. That's unique from each collection to collection. Game Gear. Love the way that they incorporated the Game Gear console there. Very similar to that of the Game Boy ones. Here we have Sega Saturn. Nicely laid out. A lot of great titles in Sega Saturn too, and a lot of people go to Batocera because of Sega Saturn, because if you incorporate this into a PC, which is how most people are going to be using Batocera to begin with, you can get into Sega Saturn much smoother, much better than you can on a lot of other systems and setups. So like if you try to jump into some of these games on like a Raspberry Pi 4, you're not going to have any success. So I think that's where Batocera and its usage with PCs of all different kinds, not just gaming PCs, really makes a big difference. So backing out, we'll go into Genesis 32X. Not a ton of titles in here, but really do like the way it's laid out yet again. Awesome games in here. World Series Baseball is a good one. Virtual Racing. Back out. And Model 3. So this is a collection that I actually love. I really wanted to set this collection up. It took me a while to figure everything out because there's a lot of moving parts to the Sega Model 3 collection, which is of course Sega's arcade games from like the mid to late 90s. But a lot of themes don't give you any sort of graphics, background, anything for Sega Model 3. So the fact that this ArtFlix theme for Batocera does is really awesome. So we're going to jump in here. I have kind of a mess with titles on here where there's some duplicates and some work, some don't, but you can see everything scrapes really nicely. And my favorite games on here, I've done videos on this game quite a bit here on the channel, is Star Wars Trilogy. So you can see how this looks on here, and I like the fact that they incorporated one of the Sega Model 3 actual cabinets there. Obviously it doesn't match up for every single title. In this case, we're on a Daytona USA 2 arcade cabinet, you know, and right now it'll just change with each of them, but we actually do have the Daytona game on here. I believe it should be, yeah, right there. So it's really cool to see a you know, arcade cabinet like that incorporated into the theme, and then be able to actually check out the preview of that exact game in here. It's just really nicely laid out. So I'm going to back out of the Sega Model 3 collection. Again, that's not one that typically populates in for the majority of your themes. We'll jump into Sega Dreamcast now. Again, we've got that really cool console in the background, TV screen, lists all over, description, ratings, all that good stuff. Everything just populates in beautifully. All your favorite Dreamcast titles I pretty much have on this particular build here. You can just see all that this theme has to offer here. And I think that's really what draws me to this particular theme. It's just put together so nicely. There's no you know, issues where things kind of end up looking the same from collection to collection. Everything's just super unique. So we'll go on. In here we have all of these amazing titles for Naomi. on a you know, Sega sort of arcade cabinet there too, which is cool to see. And you can see up at the top, it's like the details on here are just amazing. If you take a look at the marquee on the top of the cabinet, it changes and incorporates the logo for each title. So here, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, logo up there at the top. It's a little cut off, but still really nicely put together with the small details. I just love that. Neo Geo system, so really cool the way that they laid that out with the arcade sort of theme. Background, everything about it just looks awesome, and they even changed the marquee like they did in the previous collection. A lot of amazing titles in there, so many things that you forget about over the years. So here we have PlayStation, original PlayStation. Love the way that they incorporate those controllers on there. I like how they do that for so many of these collections. PS2, very similar. We have the PS2 console in the background. Logo up on top too. So back out. All right, so we'll jump into PlayStation 3 collection. Love the main look to this one here before we actually jump in, but we'll jump in. And with PlayStation 3, not everything is scrapable. So some games have scrapable data. This one here for 50 cent, Blood on the Sand, you can see everything populates in perfectly. But up above that, we have Yakuza, Dead Souls. Nothing scrapable here except for basic information with like a rating and the title. No graphics, no video, none of that. Some of these have logo, some of them have box art, some of them don't have anything at all. This particular one right here, you can see we have box art. We don't have a logo on the scrolling title on the right hand side. None of that is the theme's fault though. You can see here on the theme, everything is ready to go. It just depends what data is scrapable for this particular collection. So in this case, you know, there's just not a whole lot available because it is a later emulation advancement. Hasn't been around super long, especially with Batocera. So I'm going to back out of that collection. Here we have our all games list. So this is just a master list for the entire build. And here you get a pretty basic sort of layout for the way the theme actually incorporates all these titles. You just basically have a screen and then it just pulls you know, the information from the actual titles on the right hand side, and then you still get your box art, your description, and your ratings at the bottom, but not a whole lot in terms of like background. Background pretty much just changes to like a still shot of each title, but really nicely put together, you know, regardless. So we will back out of that one. Here we have favorites list. I don't have my favorites list put together, but if you did, you would have very similar layout to what we had in the previous all games collection, where it just pulls each individual information off of each title and then gives you, you know, a background depending on what you're actually highlighting. So here we have last played. This just creates a list of all the games I've played recently, and it puts together, again, very similar to that of the all games list. So we'll back out again. And we are back to where we started, or at least somewhere in here we started. We did all of these, you know, Naomi, Neo Geo, MAME, and then you can actually put together custom lists too. So if we were to go in here and I went over to my game collection settings and I jumped in here, I can actually go in and add additional collections too. So if I wanted to go to systems displayed, you can see here I have all of these checked. So I don't think I'm missing anything here, but sometimes you find custom collections or you notice that there's something that's you know, not added in. And now we can also go into automatic game collections. So if we went in here, we can add some collections. So let's say we wanted a custom collection of, let's see, what do we have? Let's say light guns. We go ahead and enable that. We can also go up here, and if we want a list of 4-player games, we'll go ahead and add 4-player games. Now those are checked, so I'm going to back out all the way. And now if I scroll through all of my collections, I should find those 2 additions that we just made here. Just got to find them. So here we have 4 players. So this is just pulling from all of our games, all the games that are 4 players. So if I had 3 other friends over and I wanted to get into a game we can all join in on, this is going to create a custom game list for all the titles on my build here that are 4 players. So I'm going to jump in here just to show you how this looks. And here you can see we get a different graphic on the left hand side, and then it's going to give us that list of all the titles that we can enjoy with 4 total players. So what's really cool about this is it's a fully customized collection that we just added in here, and this particular theme actually gives you all of this, you know, graphics and lists and all this stuff. A lot of your themes for Batocera are not going to do that. All you would have here is just your text list or a really basic sort of layout. This one has just everything is fully customized, so it incorporates stuff directly into this for you. So I'm going to back out again. And what was the other one we did? Oh, light gun games. So here, light gun games is one that it doesn't actually give you background or anything like this. So this right here, we have this blacked out screen. This is one that this particular theme doesn't really cover, but this is how the majority of your stuff is going to look on a lot of your other Batocera themes. So the fact that, you know, it took this much work to find something that the ArtFlix theme does not actually incorporate in. But if we jump in here, you know, we can get a pretty decent layout for light gun games within the collection. There's just no cover art or anything here when we actually back out. So I'm going to go back into my game collection settings. I'm going to go into automatic game collections. I'm going to disable light gun games because it wasn't really a super attractive layout there. So that's basically everything that this particular theme has to offer here. Again, it's my personal favorite, and this is called ArtFlix. So if you don't have the ArtFlix theme right now, I'm going to show you guys really quick how you can add it. You definitely want to make sure that your system is connected to your Wi-Fi, but all you need to do is open up your main menu. So if you have a gamepad controller, go ahead and hit your start button. That's going to pull up your main menu right here. We're going to drop down to updates and downloads, and then we're going to go into our second option down, which says themes. You're going to let this load in, and here you can see a master list of all of the themes that you can go in and add to your particular Batocera setup. So right here, at the time of this video anyways, it's the 4th option down, and it just reads ArtFlix, and you can see a little preview of it there on the right hand side. It doesn't give you an in-depth preview like what I just did for you here with this video, but you can still see basically what you're going to get out of it. So all you do is just select it. It's going to download. This one is a much larger one because, again, there's a different layout and background and graphics and all that good stuff for each of your collections. So this one is a much larger theme to download. Some of them are really basic and they only take a couple seconds to download. This one's going to take a little bit of time. Just go ahead and select it. It's going to download. You'll see a little progress bar in the top right corner. Let it do its thing, and then once it's downloaded, I'm going to show you guys what you would do. So we can back out of all of this here. We'll back out to just being on one of the collections, doesn't matter which one. And let's say that it fully downloaded. All you're going to do is hit your start button, open up your main menu. You're going to go down to UI settings here, select that, and then theme set right here at the top. Under appearance, you're going to either scroll left or right or open it up, and you're going to get a list of all the available themes here. And if you just added ArtFlix, it'll be somewhere on here. You're just going to scroll over to it, select it like this, and it's going to automatically change in the background. So when you back out of UI settings and main menu, boom, you're right into your ArtFlix theme for Batocera. All right, so we took a full tour of the ArtFlix theme, so I think you guys can see how awesome this theme is and how much it has to offer because of all the customizations and different areas that really set it aside and set it apart from so many of the other Batocera themes out there. So again, this is the ArtFlix theme. Super big fan of it. I highly recommend checking it out. You can add it to your particular Batocera build in the steps that I outlined at the end of this video. If you have any questions or anything like that, feel free to hit me up here in the comments section here on the RetroPie Guy YouTube channel. And of course, you know the drill. If you enjoyed the video and you found it helpful today, go ahead and smash the like button on the video and subscribe to the RetroPie Guy YouTube channel so you guys can stay in the loop for all future videos that I put out here on YouTube. That's going to do it for today though. Thank you guys so much for watching.